and welcome back to Beauty Bee. Today we're going to do an update on my Shop My Stash. We're going to go through what I pulled 2 weeks ago and if and how I used it, and then I'm going to show you a handful of things that I've pulled for the next 2 weeks. That's it, that's the intro. Let's do this. So here's everything I pulled. Let's start actually with something that I can't show you, which was a single but really two-use lavender aromatherapy mask. I didn't use it. I opened the pouch and just immediately my eyes started to water. It's like, I can't put this on my face. So that went in the bin, and I don't know if it was because it was old and it expired, or if it was just something that I wouldn't have been able to handle anyway. I can be somewhat sensitive to scents, and lavender is one of those that can mess me up. So I don't know, but it's gone, and that was a good chunk of the goal. So the other sort of more skincare thing was the e.l.f. acne fighting gel. Now, I didn't use this enough to determine if it actually works. Thankfully, I did not deal with enough acne over the last 2 weeks to determine if this thing really works well. I did use it a couple of times, and I don't think it made anything worse. So I'm going to keep this out and probably be obnoxiously scientific about testing this out. Now this is actually looking very different. This is my NYX I Want Pop palette. Now, if you'll remember, I'll actually link my first Shop My Stash video up in the cards. Originally, I had very little left on in this pan, and what it was sort of a rosy champagne highlight shade. I really just had the very edges left. I also had a very significant amount of pan in this shade, which was originally like a matte peachy terracotta shade. I built a Franken shadow out of those two shadows. It turns out to be this pretty glowy peachy pink, as one might expect from my description of the colors. And I have worn it on my eyes. It's not super intense. I think it lost some of the intensity when I repressed. I don't know if that was because I ended up using a setting spray instead of rubbing alcohol or why, but it's not crazy intense, but it's intense enough. And I have worn this both as an eyeshadow and on my cheeks, and I thought it was a really nice, soft, pretty look. So very happy with that. And I also used the empty pan that resulted to create this shadow, which is a sort of very grungy, dirty gold. That's right there. It's also what I have all over my lid. And I'm really happy with this one as well. I made this by combining 3 shadows from a mini sleek palette. Looking forward to making more Franken shadows in the future. My first attempts, while not very pretty in the pan, have worked out really well on the eyes. And I have used this palette quite a bit. I've used, I think, every shade. Actually, maybe I have not used this dark brown, but that's okay. That was never my favorite shade in this palette. And it's really lovely. I think that I will end up quite often reaching for these 2 shades in particular. These are definitely the standouts for me. And I think that the addition of these 2 new Franken shadows will help me get a lot more use out of it in the future. I'm really happy with the extra versatility that especially this dirty gold gives me. Hold two little mini Wet n Wild nail polishes. Clearly neither of these is what I currently have on my nails, but I did use this once on my fingers and once on my toes, and this once on my toes. I think I might make it a little bit of a mission to pan this going forward. And then this, I realized, is just more of a fingernail shade, and B, a winter shade for me. So this can go away for a little while. And then there was quite a bit of jewelry that I used. The first was this pair of earrings. I actually surprised myself with how often I wore these. I think I wore these 3 times during the week. They're quite sparkly and they've got purple and blue and green. I don't think the light is catching them quite right here, so they look kind of dull, but these are pretty bright actually. And I do like them, but I think that they might be to blame for the fact that I have like 2 pimples on my ear now, which is weird. Yeah, questionable. Though, I mean, the first 2 times I wore them, I didn't have any problem, so if I just continue to use these once in a while going forward, I think that will be very good. I did wear these once, but only once. That's not too bad. I had worn these much more recently than the other pair. Just, these aren't as easy to match in my wardrobe as I thought they would be. This I feel kind of bad about. I think I wore these for a half day. I prefer bracelets that conform a little bit better to my arm. I mean, these are not a great example because they can kind of slip and slide. These are meant to stretch to accommodate a much larger arm, but even their like slim setting is pretty loose on me. You can't tighten it beyond this point, and I don't like the feeling of it just going up and down my arm, and it makes quite a bit of noise. I think I might wear these a little bit more, but I would wear just one at a time instead of both because that's a lot all day long. Okay, so that's everything I had 2 weeks ago. Now for all the new things that I've pulled. The first is this John Frieda Frizzies. I just forget that I own this. I realized that multiple times in the last 2 weeks I've had the thought, wow, my hair's really frizzy today, I should do something about that. And then I don't even think to use this. I pulled 2 pairs of earrings again, and I feel really ashamed. I don't think I've worn either one of these more than maybe twice. This pair of sort of this, I don't know what metal I would call this, like a blackened silver that has little bits of turquoise. I also have these pretty small dangly bluish purple fake gemstones. I mean, they are pretty. I'm just not sure if these are really my style, but I've had them for ages and I don't want to get rid of them, so I need to use them. I also pulled one necklace. It's this really delicate little gold necklace, and it has this little 5 faux pearl detail on it. I figured this would be easy to wear with pretty much anything, except of course the earrings that I pulled. So, you know, hopefully I will be wearing one of these elements almost every day. Let's do nail polish, and then we can move on to makeup. I have so many of these little mini Ulta nail polishes. I bought these, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 Christmases ago. The year before, 2 years before or something, I had been burned getting pretty close to Christmas and then not having any kind of white elephant gifts. So I bought, I think, 2 little sets of these on Black Friday. They were on pretty good sale. I was like, this will be a cute little white elephant gift. And then, of course, because I was prepared, there was no white elephant gift exchange. So I just had 8 little bottles of Ulta nail polish. I think I've used up 1 or 2 of these completely, but I figured that these 2 together could give me, this could be like a really pretty little ladylike manicure, and then I could add 1 accent nail with this. I mostly just want to know if these are still good, if they perform well, etc. I don't know that I've ever used this particular shade, and clearly I have used this in the past, but it looks kind of galoopy and separated, so we shall see. The palette I pulled this week is my NYX Ultimate Utopia palette. I really have liked this when I've used it, but I've only owned this for a couple of weeks, and I already find myself focusing on other things, like the I Want Pop palette that I pulled last week. So I really wanted to focus on getting to know this palette. I've used, I think, a little more than half of the shades, but there are colors in this that I have never used before. I don't think I've used any of these 4 colors. I'm not sure this one has ever gone on my eye, and I don't think I've used the pink either. So it's a very pretty color scheme. It seems very up my alley, and I've been really pretty impressed with the mattes in particular, and I recently purchased a glitter glue, so I think I'm gonna have quite a bit of luck with this palette. I'm excited to play with it some more. And then to go with that, because there's so much peach in that Ultimate Utopia palette, I pulled my Wet n Wild Color Icon Blush in the shade Rosé Champagne. I bought this on a whim probably 2 years ago, and I know it sort of looks like I'm about to hit pan because you can see those ridges in it, but I feel like it's looked like that since about 2 weeks after I bought it. It's this shimmery peach shade. It's very pretty. It's just one of those shades that I've had for quite a while, but has somehow never managed to become like a go-to everyday shade for me. And I don't know why that is. I really do want to test this out and play with it over the next couple weeks and figure out if I cannot gain some appreciation for it. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you'll consider liking and subscribing if you did. Look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, bye!